You know, when you look at an ancient map, have you ever wondered about the secrets that are hidden right there in its lines? What if one of those lines pointed to a city that, for centuries, just vanished? Well, today, we're going on a historical detective mission to find exactly that, a lost Roman city.
So check this out. This is our star piece of evidence. It's a medieval copy of an old Roman road map called the Tabula Peutingeriana. And right there, mixed in with all the familiar names, is a place called Nerulum. The Romans knew where it was, they traveled through it, but for us, for modern historians, nobody had a clue where it actually was. It was a ghost on a map.
So that's the big question, right? How in the world do you find a city that has literally disappeared? Well, that's what we're going to figure out. It's a journey that's going to take us through ancient texts, conflicting maps, a surprise clue written in stone, and believe it or not, a little bit of modern math.
Okay, so every good investigation needs a case file. Before we start searching for Nerulum, we've got to know what we're looking for.
The name itself, Nerulum, is a huge clue. It comes from a word that means strong or valorous, which basically translates to a small fortress. Now, it wasn't some huge city like Rome. It was a strategic outpost for an ancient Italic tribe called the Lucani. And this is a really key detail, because a small fortress is a whole lot easier to lose to time than a giant metropolis.
All right, now it's time to interview the witnesses. Well, our witnesses are the ancient Roman writers who actually mention this place, and they left behind 3 key statements that give us our first real clues.
First up, we've got the historian Titus Livy. He's writing about the wars in the region, and he says that the Romans took Nerulum by storm. Now, that's not just a casual mention. That tells you Nerulum was a fortified, super important place, important enough to be worth a major military operation. So, check. It confirms its status as a fortress.
Our next clue comes from a pretty funny source, ancient gossip. Seriously, the writer Suetonius was kind of trash-talking the Emperor Augustus, trying to mock his humble beginnings, by saying his grandfather was just some money changer from Nerulum. Now, for Suetonius, that was an insult. But for us, it's investigative gold. It tells us Nerulum was a center for commerce, a town with a money changer's shop.
And our third text is a religious story about Saint Felix. It describes him and other martyrs being shipped over from Africa to Italy, and it says they landed near Nerulum before being taken inland. Okay, boom! That places Nerulum somewhere near the Tyrrhenian coast and on a major road heading north.
So, let's put this all together. We've actually built a pretty solid profile. Nerulum wasn't just some random village. It was a defended fortress, a commercial hub, with this wild link to an emperor, and a key stop on a route from the coast into the heart of the country.
With this profile in hand, we can finally turn to the maps. And this is where our detective story gets a huge twist. Because our 2 main guides, they don't agree at all.
So, on one hand, you have something called the Antonine itinerary. It says Nerulum is 118 Roman miles south of the city of Nocera. But on the other hand, you have our map, the Tabula Peutingeriana, and it says it's only 94 miles away. That is a 24-mile difference, a huge discrepancy back then.
And the problem isn't just one number. The error actually messes up the entire route. The Antonine itinerary says the whole trip from Nocera to Cosenza is 181 miles, but the Tabula says it's 174. One of these ancient GPS systems is leading us way off course. So this is really the heart of the mystery. We've got 2 primary sources, and they totally contradict each other right where our lost cities should be. To find Nerulum, we first have to figure out which one of these maps we can trust.
So how do you solve a problem like that? Well, the breakthrough comes from a completely unexpected place, an ancient stone tablet that basically acts as the Rosetta Stone for this entire mystery. This is the Lapis Polai, or the Stone of Pola. It was found near a town called Pola, and it's basically a public record carved in stone 200 years before Christ, celebrating the construction of this exact road. And the crucial part? It lists the distances between major cities. This isn't a copy of a copy. It's a definitive record.
Okay, this is the moment of truth. Let's put the numbers side by side. From Nocera to Cosenza, the stone says 174 miles. The Tabula Peutingeriana, 174 miles. And the Antonine itinerary, 181 miles. It's a perfect match. The tabula is the one that lines up with the hard evidence carved in stone.
So the case is closed on that front. There's no doubt about it now. We can confidently throw out the Antonine itineraries bad data for this area and trust the Tabula Pettingeriana to be our guide for the final step.
All right, so we've got our witness statements, we have our reliable map, and now we're going to use a surprisingly simple and, well, elegant bit of math to pinpoint Nerulum's exact location.
It's called the Taliano-Grasso formula, and it was developed specifically for this kind of historical problem. The idea behind it is just brilliant. It assumes that the relationship between the winding road distance and the straight line distance, as the crow flies, is pretty much constant over a similar stretch of land.
So here's the logic. If you know the total road distance between 2 points you can find on a map today, that's A, and you also know the straight line distance between them, that's B, you can use that ratio to figure out the straight line distance to any unknown point in between.
Okay, let's actually apply it. We take 2 known points from our trusty map that surround Nerulum, Forum Populi in the north and Cosienza in the south. Using modern maps, we can just measure the straight line distance between them. It turns out to be 149 kilometers. That's our B.
Now we just plug in the numbers from our trusted map, the tabula. The total road distance, A, is about 181 kilometers. The road distance from our starting point to Nerulum, C, is about 62 kilometers. So our equation is x equals 149 times 62 divided by 181. And the answer is 51 kilometers. That's our result. The formula predicts that Nerulum should be located 51 kilometers south of Forum Populi as the crow flies.
So we go back to our map, we find our starting point, Forum Populi, we draw a line 51 kilometers south along the likely path, and it lands squarely on one place, the modern Italian town of Lagonegro. The math, the maps, and the texts all point to this one single spot.
And just like that, the mystery is solved. By treating ancient sources like evidence in a cold case, and by using a process of elimination and deduction, the location of Nerulum has been found.
It turns out Nerulum wasn't really lost after all, just hidden in plain sight. Its identity was absorbed into the modern town of Lagonegro. It's just this powerful reminder that the past is often buried right beneath our feet, just waiting for the right clues to bring it back to light.
And that leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? If a Roman fortress can be found with just ancient texts and a little bit of math, what other stories, what other lost cities are just out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for their own detective to connect the dots?